I negotiated and renegotiated and fixed Foxconn. And
What? This is Missy Hughes running for governor. How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good.
I just had somebody at my booth, and I was like, what are you looking for? What are you thinking about? And he said, possibilities. And I was like, that's so lovely. He's like, I feel like there are so many possibilities for what we can do and what we can change and what we can make happen.
Speaking of possibilities, we actually are voting for something as opposed to against something because we can make change if we do this right.
Absolutely. We are voting for the chance to undo a lot of the harm that's been done to our public schools, to our healthcare system. The list is endless.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we also have a great responsibility. And so we're voting for that responsibility. We're taking that on and saying we think we can really deliver for the state.
So you're the former economic development. Part of the governor's job, or anybody representing our state, is to bring businesses and economic success to the state. And the data center stuff, it's more nuanced. Once I get into everything, can you talk a little bit about that?
First, I just want to say that the data centers, when I talk with folks, there's this overwhelming fear that we're going to get taken advantage of. And that's why I think it's actually really important to have somebody who knows how to be in the room and how to stand up for ourselves. And that's what I did for economic development for 6 years. I was like, who's going to be a good partner for the state? Who are companies that when they come here, they're going to make our state better for years? That's what you have to suss out when you're in the room. Sometimes the data centers, they're looking for cheap land and cold temperatures. That's fundamentally what they need to build their, and that's why they want to come to Wisconsin. But it's are you going to protect our environment? Are you going to help us build renewable energy? Those are the questions that you really got to roll up your sleeves and determine, and do you know what the heck you're doing? We don't have to take everything that the cat drags in. And a strong politician, a strong governor is going to be able to walk away from stuff. That's the actual politically tough thing to do. When somebody's like, oh, I want this in my district, you got to be like, that's not going to work for the state.
And we're talking about the governor, right? It is the executive of our state. You have to make tough decisions. And if it's not data centers, it's going to be something else. And that's been my thing since the beginning, too. I want somebody at the negotiating table who's making sure that we are protected and that the state benefits. Because I know in New Mexico, they all now have free childcare because of the oil that it's coming out of there. I'm looking at this and it's well, they want us, that what can we get out of them, right?
For sure. I negotiated and renegotiated and fixed Foxconn. And
what? What? We all have PTSD from Foxconn, which I think is contributing to all of this stuff. Okay, so tell me more about that. How did that go down?
Okay, so I show up on my very first day of work as secretary 6.5 years ago, and they give me a binder, this thick, and they're like, here's Foxconn. Your problem. I dug in and learned everything I could about how that project had come about and how, where we were with it. And the reality is, at that moment, Foxconn was a $280 billion company. And I'm like, do we want to pick this fight or do we want to find a way out of it? And that's where the negotiating comes in. And so, patience and anger and walking away and coming back to the table, we're all involved in that. And ultimately, the state was on the hook for $3 billion worth of tax credit liability. And I renegotiated that and saved the state $2.85 billion worth of liability. And also, ultimately got a company like Microsoft to go into that space. And now we have a trusted blue chip company in the state where we can work with them for the long term, and they're already showing themselves to be a good partner.
Okay, one more thing I want to ask you about. Can you gush on your part of the state real quick? Because it looks pretty beautiful.
It's an amazing, amazing part of the state. I'm so blessed to live there. I loved raising my family there. It's the home of Organic Valley. That's what brought us there. And I walked out this morning and, you can see when you're at the top of the ridge, you can see all the way to the Pacific. Sometimes it feels like it's just really, really beautiful. But what makes it the best is the people, and the people who have come there for food and for, growing innovative, interesting companies. There's people who come back because their parents are there and they want to raise their kids with their parents. It's just a really, really nice community. But that's happening all around the state. There's good things happening all around the state, and that's one of the reasons I'm running is everything's not broken. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed, but there's a lot of stuff that's also working in the state, including the people who are working really hard. After Trump got elected, I was like, I'm going to go talk to people. And in the span of 6 weeks, I visited 40 communities all around the state. and I sat down with people, community leaders, people who are, trying to do things, and they were like, yeah, there's a lot of crazy. We're getting something done in our community. We're helping, build an EMS system that works, or we're creating a space for a farmer's market, or, just like little things, but those small wins give people the chance to be like, all right, I'll come back to the table. And people do not care what color shirt you're wearing, whether it's blue or red. They don't care who you love. If you show up with 5 volunteers, you're on the team.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, the biggest and most immediate change you can make is right in your backyard. There's always stuff going on and initiatives you can join.
And you really learn how to work with people.
Yeah, you do.
And that's the skill we've lost.
God, life is just a group project, isn't it? And you're always going to have the ones who you don't really want on your group project, but you don't really have a say in it.
No. And you know what? I know you're so focused on this, raising your kids and working with other parents. Huge group project.
I know. And we can't like choose who's with us in life, and you got to make it work. Tell everybody where they can vote for you and when.
August 11th, missyforgovernor.com. You can find out more information about my background and what I believe in, but I think you might have heard a little bit of that right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.